praises be to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Mashiach, Wa Rawak, Kadash. All right, I want to give, this is a very, very interesting lesson that I want to give this morning. And it's amazing to me on how the media is propping up this demon that's sitting in front of us right now. The same man that was involved in the Franklin scandal. Okay, look up the Franklin cover up, where this demon and his son were very heavily involved in being behind a child pedophile scandal. All right, where they were inviting young call boys to the White House so that they can pop them in their rear end. Is this the man, okay, that caused the earth to tremble? We're going to go into it. All right, not just him, but his son also. And we know that the man in front of you, his father, Prescott Bush, was very extensively involved in providing weapons and supplies and aid to Nazi Germany. So Job 9:24 says that the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. Who covered the faces of the judges thereof? Esau, Edom. They whitewashed history and put their images up as being Christ, the angels, God, the son of perdition, which means destruction. That man of sin is being revealed as it relates to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 2 through 10. We're getting ready to go into a very important lesson this morning. And I'm going to go into some very, very crucial scriptures. Without further ado, let's let the video play, and then we're going to break this down.
To the late George W. Bush. Excuse me, George H.W. Bush. I know a lot of you out there are upset. I know this is an emotional episode for everyone. I know. We never thought we'd see the day where we'd lose number 41, but it's happened. So let's take a look back before I give some commentary on the life lived by George H.W. Bush. Let's take a look back at some of his greatest moments here on Earth.
Out of these troubled times, our fifth objective, a new world order can emerge, a new era, freer from the threat of terror, stronger in the pursuit of justice, and more secure in the quest for peace. An era in which the nations of the world, east and west, north and south, can prosper and live in harmony. 100 generations have searched for this elusive path to peace, while 1,000 wars raged across the span of human endeavor. And today that new world is struggling to be born. A world quite different from the one we've known. A world where the rule of law supplants the rule of the jungle. A world in which nations recognize the shared responsibility for freedom and justice. A world where the strong respect the rights of the weak. We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders. What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind: peace and security, freedom, and the rule of law. Such is a world worthy of our struggle and worthy of our children's future. Now we can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is the very real prospect of a new world order. In the words of Winston Churchill, a world order in which the principles of justice and fair play protect the weak against the strong. A world
Let's go a little bit into this new world order under Satan. Okay, first of all, the Most High put in place his order. And what was that in accordance with? Let's see. We're going to go into Deuteronomy 32, verse 8, 32 and 8. When the Most High divided the nations, their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. The children of Israel, you so-called blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans. But we fell because we decided to follow the ways of the heathen. Let's continue.
world where the United Nations, freed from Cold War stalemate, is poised to fulfill the historic vision of its founders.
Pauline Pierce returned to America in early October of 1924. 8 months later, on June the 8th, 1925, she gave birth to a girl named Barbara. Barbara Pierce married George H.W. Bush, who eventually became the 41st President of the United States. And they had a son, George W. Bush, the 43rd President of the United States. Could the wickedest man in the world, Aleister Crowley, be George W. Bush's grandfather?
Son of perdition, destruction.
Well, what can be said that hasn't already been said out of his own mouth? A new world order? His wife, Barbara Bush, the daughter of Aleister Crowley, the Bushes' rise from Prescott Bush and Skull and Bones to becoming one of the most powerful families in America. They did it the old-fashioned way, the American dream, right, folks? They did it through hard work, the American dream.
By robbing, invading, bloodshed, murder, deceit.
The system that was set up where hard work pays off. Well, it pays off if you're involved in ritual sacrifice.
Like
if you're
magic.
involved in all sorts of things that would make people's heads explode. But maybe of all the things, including being mentioned in the Franklin cover-up, all the things that
The Franklin cover-up is when this demon in front of you and his son were involved in raping young boys and calling in call boys to the White House. There's an article came out by the Washington Post. I believe it's dated May or June 1989. So I recommend you follow up on that.
George has done here, maybe the most memorable was his involvement in the CIA. Because remember, his good old buddy, Harry Truman, a buddy of Prescott Bush's, I should say, who started the CIA, the 33rd president.
Helping to orchestrate large shipments of drugs and weapons coming into the country that just so happened to wind up in the Hebrew Israelite neighborhood and communities, you so-called blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans.
Right? Must be a coincidence. Started the CIA, and then as all of these articles will tell you, and of course Harry Truman, I mean, check out Harry Truman in his Freemasonic garb. But of all the things that are out there talking about it, they're saying the head of the CIA, he saved the CIA, he rescued the CIA, and the CIA, which of course is a front for some of the most illegal operations of all time.
These are the real terrorists, brothers and sisters. Okay? These folks control the narrative. And what they do is label the people of color to try to say that they're terrorists. And if you go against their so-called New World Satanic Order, then they'll count you as being a terrorist because you won't go with the program. Because you're against child pedophilia, homosexuality, and raping, robbing, and murdering foreign peoples in order to steal and usurp control over their natural resources.
Carried out some of the most despicable assassination plots of all time. You can thank George H.W. Bush. as this article does, how George rescued the CIA and earned its respect. He took the helm in January 1976. The place was in shambles.
Terrorist.
A little more than a year earlier, in December 74, the New York Times disclosed how the CIA violated its charter and spied on U.S. anti-war groups. Well, I mean, what could have happened after that when George Bush took over? I mean, there was the Finders cult. There was tons and tons of evidence of MK Ultra mind control programming going on around the country, in Canada, in America, around the world, really. Obviously, that all stems back from Operation Paperclip. More stuff linked to Truman. But nonetheless, as people applaud the life lived by George, who's probably now side by side with Barbara, sitting across a table from the Baphomet, probably getting coals shoved up his rear. George, we just don't want to thank you for the things that you left here on the earth. And we're glad that you weren't able to fully see through your new world.
Let's read a scripture. We're going to go into the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 5. The Lord has broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. Verse 6. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He who came up with a false narrative saying that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction, or that Saddam Hussein is trying to terrorize the Middle East. Let's read that again. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. Illegal wars. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. Let's go down to 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? Heaven is rulership. Read Haggai chapter 5, verse 21 and 22. O Lucifer. Who is Lucifer? The so-called illuminated ones, or light bearer, okay, whom you may call the Illuminati. So they're falling. Their rulership, or their heaven, is fallen. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground? Look at Lamentations 2, 1 and 2, for that precept on being cut down to the ground. Which didst weaken the nations. How? Through warfare, violence, okay, deceit, treachery, and its evil media propaganda machine, promulgating and spreading forth lies. Let's keep going. Verse 13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. Heaven has a parabolic meaning in rulership and ascending into what we would call space, the outer firmament. I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High. Again, that's a dual meaning. Job 11 and 6. Some of these meanings have a dual meaning or manifold description. So the stars are also the children of Israel, you so-called blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans. Look at Deuteronomy 1 and 10. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. The throne represents rulership over the Most High's chosen people. I will also sit upon the mount of the congregation. The mount of the congregation, look at Numbers chapter 20, somewhere around 22, is also the children of Israel. In the sides of the north. Verse 14. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. That is air travel. Okay, not only space exploration and habitation, but this also includes air travel, trying to be like the Most High. Let's keep reading. Oh, it's right there. I will be like the Most High. Verse 15. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell. And hell is conditions based. Okay, read Jonah chapter 2, verses 2 through 4. Verse 16. Let's go to verse 16. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee. So when Esau Edom, this is how the world is going to view them. and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble? How? By dropping bombs that did shake the kingdoms. Okay? With the advent of the atomic bomb being dropped in 1945, rising to the top of the world in terms of military prowess and military power, building a dominance through military warfare and ruling over the earth and over the nations of the world through force and fear, and using a projection army or a projection military through its sea and air power. Okay? But this is what's coming through the son of perdition. Okay? That man of sin. Verse 17. That made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof. That opened not the house of his prisoners. Okay? Mostly the sons of Jacob, children of Israel. Look at Isaiah chapter 42, verse 22. Let's continue.
World order before you left. Now, I know people will say, hey, we already have a new world order set up. Well, that's true. I mean, America, like I've said a million times, is nothing but an experiment. That's what America is. It's a gigantic experiment. It's, we're like mice in a lab. They've been performing mind control on all of us for so long. So you could say, in a way, the New World Order's here. Now, I know there's people who say, well, George is already dead. George is dead a while ago. Or that, they picked this specific date, which is usually what they do, to perform these rituals because they believe that they can pass their souls and spirits on through these black magic rituals into the body of a young child. They believe this stuff, and then, of course, they all monitor and watch that child and, put the child through the same torture techniques that they put them all through. And then they end up pushing them into politics and pushing them into, being CEOs of corporations and all that stuff. But George, of course, in the CIA, couldn't have been involved in all the drug trafficking cartels that were going on. Couldn't be involved with the Finders cult, even though his name was linked to the Franklin cover-up. No. No, we have to remember George is one of the greats, right?
The son of perdition, Skull and Bones member. Okay, a secret society. Let's go to Jeremiah 23 and 24. Can any hide himself in secret places, that I shall not see him, saith the Lord? Do not I fill the heaven and earth, saith the Lord?
Skull and Bones, what's that, right? I mean, come on, it's no big deal that these weirdos perform these rituals where they mock kill one another and they openly admit it. No big deal, right? But George, now that you're sitting across the table with your father, Aleister Crowley sitting there with you, your father-in-law, Barbara, and the bath, I know
there's a judgment coming for these demons. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 49, verse 9. If grape gatherers come to thee, will they not leave some gleaning grapes? Esau Edom rape, robs, and steals through its military-industrial complex and warfare. They ravage foreign nation resources, so they cannot be satisfied. They cannot have enough. And they push their agendas of homosexuality and pedophilia and black magic. If thieves by night, they will destroy till they have enough. Verse 10. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled. So their children and their children's children will be robbed and recompensed, according to the Bible. And his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. Verse 11. Leave thy fatherless children, I will preserve them alive, and let their widows trust in me. Verse 12. For thus saith the Lord, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken. And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. Verse 13, for I have sworn by myself, saith the Lord, that Basra is the power hub of Esau, Edom, their main power base, and in the ancient world was the capital, shall become a desolation, a reproach, a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual wastes. And this is America today, the main power hub of Esau, Edom. Okay, its military arm. And Italy, Rome, okay, the Vatican, that's the religious arm or religious wing. Let's continue. Verse 14, I have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen, saying, gather ye together and come up against her, and rise up to the battle. Okay, so the Most High is sending out a worldwide battle cry against Esau, Edom, who has damaged and destroyed and waged war on the entire earth and the inhabitants of the earth by raping and robbing all of the foreign countries' resources and spreading terror, pestilence, vaccines, okay, GMO foods, poisonous water. All right? Let's continue. Verse 15, for lo, I will make thee small among the heathen, and despised among men. 16, thy terribleness has deceived thee, and the pride of thine heart. Well, I'm proud to be an American. Okay? O thou that dwelleth in the clefts of the rocks, and holdest the height of the hill. Now, this is speaking of holding a high power stature in the world's social hierarchy. And it's also speaking about ascending into the heights of the clouds, aka space exploration and habitation. Though thou shouldest make thy nest as high as the eagle. Not only is the eagle America, but it's also modern day Rome. That's why all of our modern architecture is modeled after the first beast, the first Roman Empire. See, this stuff is not that hard. You just have to study and read. I will bring thee down, saith the Lord. Okay? All praises be to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach. And I'd like to give respect and honor to all the brothers and sisters that are pushing this truth throughout the entire earth. And a double honors to our elders. Shalom.